No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Wow, it was some night last night. I didn't get much sleep last night. Today is the day after the elections, and no matter what, we have to move forward, and I am excited about the future. I'm more excited about today's show. I got to tell you, this is our 13th year of Ask the Experts, and we always keep it local. We keep it by city, by state, and our first expert who's with us the first Wednesday of each month, that's how he started off with us. We started off in Atlanta, and then we included Georgia, but he has offered us such an important show that we have made this show national. And we've not only have we made it national, we also replay it every month. Let me welcome to you one of the greatest MD doctors in the United States, Dr. Eldred Taylor of Taylor Medical Group.
Oh boy, Steve, you got to have to bring it back a notch. That's a little bit too much, okay?
Dr. Taylor, I'm going to tell you something. What you do, and this is how I picture. A patient goes to their doctor and they say, you know what, I don't know we don't know. So they go to Dr. Taylor. And Dr. Taylor, because your functional medicine is just, it's a godsend.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I appreciate this outlet, and I think I'm learning things about communication and media, and hopefully I'm teaching you guys, something some way that you can enhance your life. So I'm glad to be here. Now, you may hear some banging in the background. I'm actually in my home. And we're taking out our carpets, putting in hardwood floors, because that is actually going to increase our health span and our lifespan, and that's what I want to start talking about. And I can give you a little story about that, Steve, and then
I want to hear it.
A further discussion. So, all right, so I'm 64 years old, so I guess now I'm looking back and I'm seeing how my life has all come together. And so, I went to medical school and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And one of our professors was an OBGYN. And he said how great this profession is, because you get to be involved in people's lives really from birth unto death. You're going to be with the person when they're having a baby, and then, you're going to go with them, and hopefully you're going to grow old with your patients. And that's exactly what has happened with me. At each phase of my life, I get interested in another phase of medicine that is important at that time. So at first I was delivering babies when me and my wife were having babies. When my wife began to get older and she was going through perimenopause and menopause, we got interested in hormones. And so we wrote that book, Are Your Hormones Making You Sick? And then we got busy with kids, and I'm going out speaking. And we wrote a book about the stress connection, so because we were under a lot of stress. And now we understand we're in the last quarter of our life. And so now we're talking about longevity and how we can have our health span equal our lifespan. And so what I want to talk about, I want to start talking about is simple ways you can, even starting at 30, you really got to think about how long you're going to live when you're in your 20s and 30s. Don't wait till you're 60 and 50 or 60, because a lot of times you can't fix all of the things that have happened before. And 75 to 90% of what decides whether how long and how healthy you're going to live is all about lifestyle. It doesn't have anything to do with medication, doesn't have anything to do with peptides, it doesn't have anything to do, it's about lifestyle. It's about diet. It's about the activities that you are in. Do you keep your mind sharp? Do you eat things that are going to help you maintain your energy? Do you move and exercise and be flexible? Because I'm telling you, when you become immobile, life is pretty much over. You know, people get to the point where they're in a wheelchair, they're going to continually to go down because movement is so important. So anyway, I could talk a long time about this, but
Well,
that's
you're taking a
I,
course now on
yeah,
longevity.
I am. It's actually a official course. It's a 6-month course. It's from the Human Longevity Institute, and it's a it's an amazing course. And what I see it doing, all of the things that I've been doing over the last 20 years, they're helping me to package it and help me to communicate it to the patients. It's about longevity is making your health span be as long as your lifespan. So if you live to 90, you're healthy until you're 89 years old and 364 days. And then on the 365th day, you just lay down and die. That's kind of my goal in life is to stay active until the end. So, and there's simple ways to do it. For today, I could give you like 4 or 5 things that you could do right now that really doesn't cost you really doesn't cost you any money, and it can actually, it's been shown in studies or whatever that it can actually improve your lifespan and improve your health span. And one, and probably the most important thing, is to move. And it doesn't mean that you got to go to the gym and go do CrossFit and all that stuff. And they say that that half hour at the gym is not nearly as important as what you do the other, let's say 15 hours that you're awake. Are you doing something that actively makes you move and you're not just sitting in front of a computer like I'm doing right now? But believe me, I've been doing a lot of moving trying to get our house ready to pull up all these
Yeah.
carpets. So that that kind of movement is probably even more important than you doing CrossFit. I'm not saying don't do that, but they've shown that if you can do that non-exercise movement, and it's I think it's 7,500 to 10,000 steps, that you can increase your lifespan by 7 to 15 years
Wow.
just by continually moving, and that's all been studied. So that's how important they're like the first thing. If you want to live longer, you got to move. We started ballroom dancing uh, 8 years ago, and we continue to do it because that gives you a spatial perception. As you get older, it gets harder for you to maintain your balance. If you
Yes.
close your eyes, stand on one foot, you'll see it's hard to maintain your balance. So dancing, when you have to move your feet and without looking, and you have to make sure that you coordinate your hand and your brain, it's supposed to decrease Alzheimer's. Just the ballroom dance is supposed to decrease Alzheimer's because you have to process all of this stuff. So yeah, just so simple things. It can be fun, gardening, pickleball, all of that stuff. That's what's important. So the next thing, and you can stop me. I'm going to keep going
You know,
if you don't stop
Dr.
me.
Taylor, I'm thinking while you're saying all this, I
Mhm,
am one of these people who never drank alcohol. I actually tried it in college, and
mhm,
for some reason it wasn't. But I never drank alcohol. I never
yeah,
smoked cigarettes. I never did drugs. I mean, I'm not trying.
mhm,
I'm not saying I was a goody two shoes. I just didn't do that stuff, and I
yeah,
walked a lot. And I
yeah.
see people passing away in their 50s and their 60s.
I
I'm
know.
in my early 70s. And I
Mm.
mean, I think I attributed this to my lifestyle growing up.
Well, it's your lifestyle growing up, and it's the fact that you still have a purpose. That's another thing. Okay, just having
Ooh,
a purpose decreases all forms of chronic illness by 50%. just by having a purpose. Your purpose is I do this I do this podcast, and I have to be somewhere. You have something to look forward to. You don't have
Right.
time to die. You don't have time to get sick. You've got something to do. So having a purpose throughout your life is important. So yeah, it's important what you did early in your life. It's also important what you're doing right now. And it's important because, like I said, right
Well,
now,
what do
I want to.
retirees do in that case? People who
Uh,
retire.
Men are more likely to die when they retire.
Wow.
Women can retire for 50 years and they'll go and garden and they take care of people. They'll go find a dog, a child, or whatever, because that's their nature. Okay, that's their purpose. They'll find somebody. They'll get a bug and take care of that, and that
Right.
gives them purpose. Men, they have to feel like they're being productive. They have to feel like they are contributing. Okay, women contribute through compassion. We contribute by doing. So that's why I'm doing a longevity course. I'm doing all kinds of things because you have to have a purpose. The other thing that I'm learning is the importance of spirituality, is importance of quieting the mind, the importance of having intention when you're doing something. So that's the next step. But I'm just telling you, longevity means that you really have to connect with the fact, and this is going to get a little okay, but you have to connect with the fact that your soul and spirit does live forever. Okay, so once you start to get that in your mind, longevity takes a whole different connotation. And so that's a part of what I'm learning, is that you have to connect with the source that is eternal. And so that's a whole new way of thinking. And here's what I'll tell you, Steve. This is another purpose, and me continuing to learn. Because if you don't learn or grow, you're going to die. If you look at anything out in your garden, if it doesn't grow, it's going to die. So I am
Right.
actually going to, in December. I have to look. I think I'll be here the first Wednesday of December, but the last 3 weeks of December, I am going to Egypt. And I'm going to Egypt to learn about ancient civilizations and
Wow.
how those ancient civilizations actually created medicine. Okay, so medicine was actually created in what we now call Egypt, and that's I'm I have so I'm so excited about
I
where my
bet.
life is going. I have to kind of edit myself while I'm talking here to not go too, not to just keep carrying on. But yeah, we're going to Egypt for 3 weeks, and 2 months ago we just said we're going to do it. And I don't know if it's because we are in our last quarter of our lives. We're like, we got to do it now because tomorrow we don't know what's going to happen.
So is
So,
your wife, who's also an MD, is your wife on board with this tour?
oh, she's the one planning it. We came up with the
Oh,
idea
good.
together. Oh, she's doing all the planning. We're looking at YouTube videos, trying to make sure we understand what we're going to see, what it all means, and so so that's kind of has lit a spark in me, and I think that's what that's what you have to have. You look at these. I don't know if you guys look at the Golden Bachelorette or the Golden Bachelor or whatever. It's where these 60 and 70-year-olds, they're embarking on a new part of their lives. They're not sitting around, taking a bunch of medication and in wheelchairs and playing bridge. No, they're out. They're out doing something. They're out seeing if they can have another chapter in their lives. So I don't know, maybe that kind of inspired us. It's like, hey, you're not, as long as you're not dead, you need to keep living. So that's kind of I want to encourage people that you don't have to be rich monetarily to be rich health wise. So, let me tell you a couple other things that can help.
Sure.
Uh,
Let me get this. We have
mhm,
a
mhm.
text that
Okay.
came in from
Mhm.
Birmingham, Alabama. It
Okay.
said, Dr. Taylor, I love your shows. I look forward to them every month. I learn so
Mm.
much from you. I have a question. Can you be over medicated?
Yeah, most of us are over medicated. You have to understand medication is not intended to cure anything. It's just not. That's not the goal of the medication. The medication is to diminish the symptoms for 24 hours. So, or for how long? If it's an injection that lasts a week, it's to cover to relieve the symptoms for 24 hours so that you'll have to take another medication in 24 hours. So you continue to stay on the medication. It's never going to get better. It's just, and if you stop the medication, it's going to get worse because it's just covering up the symptoms. When you figure out what the cause is, okay, if you figure out what the cause is and how you can reverse it, then you can get rid of the medication. But yeah, as long as you're on medication, then whatever is going on, it's not getting better. It's probably getting worse. And if that's not getting worse, the medication, because the initial problem has not been solved, then it's going to start causing other problems down the line. That's why every medication has side effects. Where if you take something that is medicine, like some herb or or even taking a bioidentical hormone, as long as it's in balance, you don't get side effects. But if you just disrupt the system by giving medications that only get rid of symptoms, then you're gonna have problems down the line. It's almost inevitable.
So, what's the difference between lifespan and health span?
Like I said, okay, so lifespan is what's going to be on your obituary. It's going to be on your tombstone. It's going to say 1930 to 2024 or whatever. Okay, so that's your lifespan. That little dash between 1930 and 2024, that's your lifespan. Here's what I think is more important. How long is your health span? So let's say, I don't know how many that years were. Let's say that was 80 years. Okay.
Okay.
So in 80 years, like Steve, you're 70, you're healthy, right?
Yes.
So your health span is right here, hopefully with your lifespan. Okay. So now you said your friends, they may be just as old as you, but how do they look? How do they feel? Or do they have purpose? Do they have a great outlook on life? Or are they sitting around saying, I can't do this, I can't do that, I got high blood pressure, I got this, I got that. And that's how I mean, that's kind of how I saw the generation before me, is that once they hit about 40 or 50, their life steadily went down. More medication, less activity, more isolation, not being, and so they just steadily went down. And I saw my parents do that. And I'm like, that's not how I want to be. So that's what, started me down this road. So yeah, over
Dr.
medication.
Taylor,
Mhm,
what's
mhm.
amazing is, and I don't know if you know this, but when you get my age and you go to the doctor, one of the questions they ask you is, have you ever contemplated suicide? I don't remember having a question like that when I was younger.
So let me tell you why they asked that question. Let me tell you, I'm gonna give you the behind the scenes look at medicine. Okay. So here's what happens. The antidepressant pharmaceutical rep comes in and they say, hey, you could be underdiagnosing depression. Let me give you a question sheet. And if they answer 3 out of 5 of these, they're depressed and you need to give them antidepressants. That's just marketing. They've got
Wow.
they've got that doctor convinced that they need to ask those questions to everybody because they're underdiagnosing depression. No, it's probably that antidepressant is their sales are decreasing. So they came up with a new marketing plan to say, hey, give them
Unbelievable.
this sheet. Okay. So that's why with you having no indication, you're not coming in at the least bit looking depressed. Some pharmaceutical rep was told this is the new marketing plan, and that's why they're asking the question. So that's the behind the scenes look between
Wow.
conventional medicine and their intermingling with the pharmaceutical industry. And
See,
this
I
is what I'm
thought
gonna
it
tell you.
was like if you aren't strong in mind, I'm very strong in mind, but
Yeah.
when you get in upper age, you hear about people in their 50s and 60s
Mhm.
passing away. And you
Yeah.
start thinking, wow, how come, and it's a little depressing, but when you're a strong mind like I am, you get through
Yeah.
it. But I could see a lot of people letting that bring them down and
Yeah.
causing them a shorter lifespan.
Yeah. And the other thing is a part of the spirituality, why it's so important, is to be comfortable with death because everybody's comfortable with birth. We need to be comfortable with the other end of life. And that's a spiritual journey that each person, I think, has to go on. Okay. And I'm not talking about religion. You can be whatever religion you want, but any religion will say, I mean, I was grew up Christian. They all said you need to have a personal relationship with God. And that's what I figure spirituality is. And
Right.
everybody has a different personal relationship, but that is very important. And that's how you are able to deal with everything in life. You have to be comfortable with death. It's very hard to live and really live until you get comfortable with death. And that's another thing I'm learning in longevity is that if you're afraid to die, you're going to be afraid to live. Okay, so
Whoa,
you can't
yes.
have fear. Yeah, yeah. So you're too scared to die, and you miss out on life because you're afraid to die. And that's why I'm saying a lot of longevity is how you think about your life. If you think that you're going to be old and decrepit and you're going to go to a nursing home and everybody's going to forget about you and you're just going to that will be exactly what will happen. It will come to pass because that's all you think. But if you think like I'm trying to think constantly is that no, my life is going to improve from here on. It's not going to go down. And I believe that is exactly what will happen. Okay? You can call me crazy, you can call me whatever, but it's how you look at things. Okay? And Steve, like you're saying, you can look at death and be scared and all this stuff, or you can look at
Right.
death and say, hey, I'm 70. I'm doing something right. I'm just gonna keep, I'm gonna keep on doing it. So I'm telling you. So I have. This is one time I made a list because I didn't want to do it. Forget anything. So moving is important. Having a purpose. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen with your life? The other one is time restricted eating, and it's not intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is great, but one of the things is that it says you should eat based on the uh, cycles, like what's that? Light cycles. So as the day goes on, when you're best to eat prior to 2 in the afternoon because digestion kind of goes along with the sun. Okay, if you think about
That's
it, is that
understandable.
when you wake up, yeah, okay, that's the time to eat. So your eating time should be during the daylight hours, and then digestion should take place during the nighttime hours. Now I know
That makes
with it
sense.
getting dark, yeah, when it gets dark at 5:30, is hard to to eat before
Right.
5:30. But yeah, the earlier you can finish eating, it gives your body more time to digest, to make sure it absorbs all the nutrients, to make sure it gets rid of all the toxins, to make sure that it gets rid of all the bad cells that could end up leading to cancer or whatever. All of that takes place at night. That's why you need to sleep at least 7 to 9 hours, and that can increase your lifespan and your health span by up to 5 years. And then I'm gonna give you the last one, the last and final one. Just slowing down your rate of breathing can increase your lifespan. So that's why when you talk about
How do you do
meditation
that?
and yoga, it's through meditation and these breathing exercises I'm just now learning. is that when you've heard people do yoga and all, talking about
Yeah,
breath work and all that stuff, that increases lifespan because you're breathing in oxygen, you're oxygenating your cells, and the slower and deeper you breathe, the more oxygen and energy you are actually, breathing in. So slowing down your breathing, less than 16 breaths a minute. Let me give you another one. Walking briskly increases your lifespan by like 6 or 7 years. I don't know the exact numbers. So you see older people, they shuffle along, okay?
yes,
But you don't have to do that. You need to consciously think, I'm going to take big strides. I'm going to
yeah,
take big strides when I walk. I'm not going to shuffle. And just doing that can increase your lifespan. And everything I told you doesn't cost you a dime.
right.
Everything I told you doesn't cost you a dime. And so you're thinking that you got to come to me now. I still want you to come, but there's other things you can do. But to start this process off, it doesn't cost you a penny. Sleep, breathe.
Dr. Taylor, tell
Yeah.
people how they can reach you.
Oh, I'm sorry. See,
No, you're fine.
time flies when you're having fun.
I
No,
know.
you can reach me at taylormedicalgroup.net, taylormedicalgroup.net, and then you can also reach me by calling the office at 678-443-4000. But please, if you go to my website at taylormedicalgroup.net, you will see there's a whole lot of information there. We blog, there's all types of information there, and that doesn't cost you a dime. But we're going to Egypt, and when I come back next year, we're going to have a longevity program that we can do online that anybody who's watching the show, I don't know how it's going to happen, but that's my plan and that's my goal, is that we're going to have a longevity network where people can learn how to increase their health span and help it to equal or make it closer to equaling their lifespan.
Dr. Taylor, I got to tell you, I walked into the gym the other day and the lady at the front desk must have been 100 pounds overweight. And I got to tell you, with Dr. Taylor, he actually walks the walk. From his gardening, I mean, you do it all. You really, and it shows, because for those of you who are watching on TV, you look like you're in your early 50s. You look really, really good, Dr. Taylor. And I got to tell you, I'm a believer, and the Lord's very important. I mean, there is no doubt that you being part of this show, the Lord has something to do with it, because we're going to touch somebody, and we might not ever know about it, but we will. And
there you go.
I'm just so blessed to have you, Dr. Taylor. We'll be running the show again in 2 weeks, and Dr. Taylor, we'll see you again next week. Next month.
Meet next month. Okay. All right.
Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Oh, you too. All right. See you now.
Bye-bye.
Right, bye-bye.
We're going to go to a short break, and when we come back, we'll be right back.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week. Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.